This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by Encompass Health, Rehabilitation Hospital of New England, and North Shore Community College. If you have the will to attend college, we have the way for you to earn your degree.
Happy spooky season and welcome to LCTV News. Events are picking up again, taking advantage of the last warm days of the year to come together for change and celebrations. First on a double lowdown, LYSOA Inc. joined us to discuss their mission to help high-risk youth find a better, more productive path. Then, a representative from Blue Cross Blue Shield in Massachusetts came on Zoom to lay out the various plans Medicare has to offer as we approach their annual enrollment period. Here's the news for Friday, October 6th, 2023. The City of Lynn welcomed Lisa Tobin as the Public Health Director and Jessica Chapini as the Parking Director, while also reappointing Michael Bertino to the position of Chief Financial Officer, as confirmed by the City Council. Tobin is familiar with the city, having worked as the sanitarian for inspectional services for the previous 3 years, tacking on an additional 15 years with the Lynn Housing Authority and Neighborhood Development before that. Her major priority is increasing programming for seniors. As Parking Director, Chapini will be at the helm for a staff of 13, with their main goal being to upgrade equipment and install more kiosks to make paying for parking simpler. She began working in the city in 2020 as the Code Enforcement Officer and Assistant Supervisor of Custodian and Maintenance. Bertino has been the city CFO since 2018 with a background in municipal finance and accounting. The Clock to the Rock 5K made a triumphant return 3 years after being halted by COVID. In an event that has seen upwards of 100 runners, 67 is a solid place to begin for their first time back, as runners took over the street with supporters downing the brilliant yellow shirts.
Today we just partnered with the EDIC and the Lynn Chamber to bring back the Clock to the Rock. We're hoping to make this an annual event and make it bigger and bigger every year. This year we started with about how many runners do you think?
47.
But then we had another 20-something register
today.
So it ended up being a gorgeous day. I want to thank Jim Cowdell and Mary Jane Smalley from EDIC for all their help and their sponsorship with this. And we have a bunch of sponsors, Newhall Real Estate, Columbia Insurance Agency, Reading Cooperative Bank, Julius Brothers, Omar and Oscar Jewelry Store. So thank you all very much to all our sponsors for making this possible. So we used to have the Clock to the Rock years ago, and before COVID, because of COVID, it kind of fell apart. And I had a meeting with Jim Cowdell in his office at EDIC, and he said, the Chamber and EDIC, we should do a community event. So I said, do you want to bring back the Clock to the Rock? And he said, absolutely. So this was our first venture together, the first of many, and we're just going to make it bigger and better every year. I hope to make this, maybe have a band on the Frederick Douglass.
Food trucks.
We want to do it up big. So we're just breaking in. Yep. And we will see you next year.
Thank you to all our runners and congratulations.
On the 3rd, the MBTA announced there will be 2 trains an hour running to and from Salem during the month of October. Passengers will have 4 weekends of extended service in addition to extended late-night service provided in the fall-winter 2023 schedule. This change is fueled by people traveling to haunted happenings in Salem, which exceeded pre-COVID ridership by 400%. The last weekday outbound train to Salem will depart from North Station at 11:50 p.m., 50 minutes later than the spring-summer schedule, with the last weekend train leaving Salem at 12:50 a.m., 2 hours later than the current schedule. For haunted happenings, there will be 10 additional inbound trains from Salem to North Station, with another 8 outbound trains from North Station to Salem. Passengers can use a $10 weekend commuter rail pass for their journey to and from the Witch City. Rescheduled from several weeks ago, a Recovery Month flag raising took place at City Hall on the 29th. Members of the inspectional services highlighted the importance of the month while also emphasizing how recovery is a unique experience for all individuals.
National Recovery Month started in 1989 and is held every September to promote the various ways recovery is possible. Recovery is not linear. There will be days when you feel on top of the world and wonder, why didn't I do this sooner? But then there will be days where you feel like the entire world is against you. And that is why Recovery Month is so important. To remind you that you're not alone, to remind you that recovery is not one size fits all, and that there is a support system out there for you.
I'm so grateful that we have this opportunity to recognize and reflect on the importance of the recovery community. I think it's just incredible the work that you all have done to build these systems of supports for one another and for our people here in the city who need that support, the hope that that provides, and the message that sends to everybody that we're there for you. And that is a mission that we all share.
In Lynn, we are very lucky to have an abundance of resources available. Whether you're looking for outpatient therapy, medically assisted treatment, or residential, Lynn has many options for you. People who use substances are worthy of love and support, and in this city, we are happy to support everyone at all stages of their recovery. Thank you all for coming.
The MBTA made an additional announcement that the Lynn, East Boston, and Winthrop ferry services will be extended through the fall, with the Lynn ferry now slated to run until October 31st. It operates on weekdays between Blossom Street Pier and Long Wharf in downtown Boston and has a one-way fare of $7. Tickets can now be purchased through the app or with cash. Printed link passes, commuter rail zone passes, and M7s are also acceptable forms of payment. A jam-packed Saturday began with another fall cleanup series at Ames Playground. Several volunteers showed up to dispose of various kinds of trash, from bottle caps to mattresses. Here is more.
Every week it's a different location around the city. We do 10 Saturdays in the spring, 10 Saturdays in the fall, and during the summer the community development has a grant, so we get to allow the volunteers get to take a little break during the summer because the community development kids are out here getting paid, so they have summer jobs, and they've been in the parks over the past couple of summers and on the streets helping make a difference there where it matters. You're setting an example for the youth, you're setting an example for the residents of the neighborhood. Every little bit helps, but you can't pitch an idea without being part of the solution. So if you lead by example, hopefully others will follow. Obviously we understand there's a littering problem in the city. Many hands make light work. If I get 15 minutes to give like I do today, I'll spend the 15 minutes making a difference, and appreciate all the other volunteers that are here today and that come out every other Saturday to help make a difference in the city. Because over time, I think this program that Councilor Shakutis and I in the DPW, Lisa and Eric, have started this initiative. It's, some days it's 5 volunteers, some days it's 50 volunteers, but it's making a difference across the city, I think.
For a full schedule of the park cleanups, go to lyntv.org. This was followed by a march against gun violence. Beginning at Lynn English and weaving through Lynn to City Hall, it gave people the opportunity to raise their collective voices to speak out against the recent violence.
We're going to try to deliver a message. We're going to try to deliver a message to the city, to our young people, to everybody.
We're having a Stop the Violence walk here against gun violence. We had a concerned parent that stepped up. Lisette, she stepped up and she wanted to do something because of recent violence in Lynn. And she reached out to Antonio and us, and we were just like, absolutely, we'll help her organize it and get the community involved. And that's what we're doing right now. We're all tired of this violence, and the city is, the community is, and we're going to stand together against it. So we're here today to send a message, and that's what we're doing.
In a matter of weeks, we've lost lives that shouldn't have happened. Any loss of life should not be happening among our community. You know, if you're gonna see everybody's coming out. You know, we appreciate everybody that's coming out, especially our young people. We're gonna get ready, boots to the ground. We're gonna do our walk. We're gonna bring the message.
Up until August, we had 0 murders in the city of Lynn. Then we had a 2-week barrage of violence that was just, it totally affected the whole East Lynn neighborhood where it took place in like a 4-block radius. And that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna walk on those sites. We're gonna stop at those sites. We got family members here that were affected by it. It really affected everyone, no matter if you're in East Lynn or West Lynn.
We hope that this brings it to the forefront. We hope that people come out and continue. Let's continue to bring safety to our communities.
We know our city's a good city, and we know that, you know, we're not gonna stand for a bad few that are gonna put a mark on our city.
Access to Magnolia Park was shut off on Monday the 2nd when testing connected to the new Pickering Middle School detected the presence of heavy metals a foot beneath the soil. There is no danger to residents or the 2 schools sitting on that ground, according to Inspectional Services Director Michael Donovan, unless someone was growing vegetables in it or eating the dirt. The Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection was notified, and the park will remain closed until further testing is completed. The tainted sample came from an area intended for the parking lot of the new school, with samples from the future location of the actual school, as well as the existing Sisson Elementary School, coming back clean. Filling Frederick Douglass Park and Beyond with Music, the Keep Moving Forward Festival was put on by the Lynn Music Foundation to wrap up Saturday, showcasing more than 40 local artists. There is some explicit content, so viewer discretion is advised.
You already know how we spin our bitch, then get bored with it. I just bagged another one, alley hoop to the game, just like the other one. I don't need no pedal, do no trip, I'm a dog, nigga.
To end the month of September, Lynn residents gathered at Frederick Douglass Park to celebrate the 2023 Keep Moving Forward Music Festival. Not only paying tribute to the 50th anniversary of hip-hop music, the festival also aims to celebrate local hip-hop artists from the Lynn community.
I done lost niggas on niggas to the grand fake taking a picture. Free my bro, stop talking that system. Flying cases, I just hope to dismiss them.
I remember that shit with a fire left. Happiness and God can take my breath. Maybe then I can see if they let me in again. Man, I remember that shit with a fire left. Happiness and God can take my breath.
Beginning at noon with a panel discussion about the history of hip-hop, the event later turned towards live performances starting at 1 p.m., with local artists such as Remy Boy Rock, Dani White, 427 Fwiss, and over 40 others performing for the live crowd that gathered. Hip-hop has been at the center of music revolution for decades, and continues to do so in the year 2023, with events like these ultimately showcasing the power that music can bring. For LCTV News, I'm Josh Englander.
City Hall hosted a Hispanic Heritage Reception and Film Screening this past Tuesday the 3rd. The movie, In the Time of Butterflies, headlined the event, showcasing one of many immigrant stories from the Hispanic community.
Just come to watch the movie. That movie is telling about history of my country back in the 30s, about the dictator, and a three sister was killed by the dictator. She's a working woman, try to do something different on the country because the woman don't have votes. She want to the woman have like opportunity, same opportunity of men. It's very important to watch this movie because this history about the revolution of the democracy. We live on the dictator for 31 years. People don't have a voice. You cannot go to meetings by yourself, like with your family or friends. You need to follow only one, or if the dictator say that's you need to do. You don't have a choice to do anything before that. But now everything is different. Thanks to the City Hall to give the opportunity to present the show here today, to the whole community know about our history back on. And thank you for the mayor give it the choice to present the movie here today.
The Massachusetts State Legislature passed a bipartisan tax relief package earlier this week to help residents at all income levels. This bill increased the refundable tax credit for a dependent child, disabled adult, or senior from $180 to $310 in taxable year 2023, increasing to $440 permanently in the 2024 taxable year. It also reduces the estate tax and eliminates it for all estates valued at under $2 million. The senior circuit breaker tax credit will be doubled, while decreasing the rental deduction cap from $3,000 to $4,000. The statewide cap for Housing Development Incentive Program will be raised from $10 to $57 million for 2023 and $30 million in the following years. This will allow gateway cities like Lynn the opportunity to create 12,500 new homes. These are just some of the changes going into effect. For the full summary, visit lyntv.org. In recognition of veterans, specifically ones from the Civil War, the Sons of Union Soldiers, in collaboration with the 54th Massachusetts Volunteers and historian Michael Crutcher, held a memorial service at Pine Grove Cemetery. Speeches and the laying of flowers on graves was made complete with a 3-volley salute and story from a very special guest.
Doing what we try to do as the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War Department of Massachusetts, and that is to pay homage to our fallen Civil War dead, our veterans in all wars who are now somewhere in this cemetery, here and all across the nation. We try to make sure that people remember. Fallen veterans should be and remembered all the time.
And the fact that by the end of the Civil War, the African American troops numbered more than all the Confederate troops combined. It's all of the sacrifice from all of the soldiers that we're here honoring today and should forever honor.
When that first cannonball set at the walls of Fort Sumter, I predicted then the war would not be fought entirely by white men. And as time went by, I proved to be correct. Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, which opened the door for these brave black men. I was made a recruiter for them, and I bellowed, the trumpet has sounded, men of color to arms. This is your golden opportunity. And they came, 200,000 of them. They came, they enlisted, and they fought gallantly.
Dexter shared with me that there's at least 200-300 other Civil War veterans in other sites within this cemetery alone, and you say 700 here at this particular site. Yes. So there's this level of sacrifice by the men from Lynn. It was amazing that people left these various streets within this city and went off to fight, in some case their ultimate sacrifice of their lives.
The Grand Army of the Republic, in collaboration with Lynn Museum, Lynn Arts, hosted Defending Democracy, a speaking series where both historical and personal stories were shared in front of a couple hundred people at City Hall. Here is the clip.
A very dear friend and colleague of mine and the executive director at KIPP frequently references the reverent words of James Baldwin, "All of the children are all of ours." But what does that actually mean? To love our students is to acknowledge and understand who they are, to validate their lived experience and journey, the journey of people who look like them, and to provide them with what they need to realize their dreams. From the standpoint of our work as educators, the work we do with students is more than Lord of the Flies or polynomials or the periodic table. I'm talking about leveling the playing field for historically marginalized groups. I'm talking about breaking cycles of poverty. I'm talking about working with students to help them establish control over their lives, partnering to create the condition for them to realize their dreams. That's what it means to love our students. And in loving all of our students in this way, we are stabilizing and even furthering this novel concept of democracy.
To watch the full event, visit lyntv.org. LYSOA Inc., a nonprofit, began 10 years ago to aid at-risk and high-risk youth and is continuing to grow and help the community. They came on the Lowdown to talk about how the city is evolving and the resources they try and provide for youth. Here is the Lowdown. Good afternoon and welcome to the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Dani Vittori, and today we have on both the founder and a brand new hire from the Lynn Youth Street Outreach Advocacy. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Would you both mind introducing yourselves really quick?
Well, my name is Antonio Gutierrez. I am the supervisor, actually, of the Lynn Youth Street Outreach Advocacy Program.
My name is Becca Herman, and I'm the lead outreach advocate for LYSOA.
Fantastic. So this organization has been around for quite a few years now at this point. Antonio, you've been involved mostly since the beginning.
Since day one.
Yeah.
Actually, I started out as just a regular outreach worker under the Shannon grant, and I think like a little over 2.5 years later, with Teresa De Gregorio, who is the executive director, we co-founded together the LYSOA, Lynn Youth Street Outreach Advocacy. So now I believe we're going into 13th year, 12 plus years now.
Really impressive. And your main goal is you work with either at-risk or high-risk youth, 14 to 24. So how do you go about doing that work?
Well, we through referral process, we also go to the courts and stuff. We work with the schools. It's funny, this morning we were just talking about that, how the referrals come in. We get them through email, we get them through word of mouth, we get them through parents, we get them through the Lynn Police Department, we get them through the courts, juvenile district, Superior, the drop-in center.
Wow.
They just drop in at times, they catch up. Now it's almost like a household name type thing.
And then you as the lead outreach worker, what's your main role?
My main role is outreach, so going out into the community, getting kids, talking to kids, trying to show them like a better path to go on, like mentorship type. Like he said, working in the schools with like SROs and the guidance counselors, working in court with like probation and the lawyers, things like that.
And you also very recently participated in a community outreach meeting.
Yeah.
He was talking about the violence and how it was.
So, I'm sure the community knows, of course, with the recent violence that we've had in the last month, which has been pretty hard for us. We thought we were going to get through the summer, unscathed and stuff, and because you hear Boston and other cities and the struggles that they have been going through with the shootings and stuff like that. We've had our own share of recent shootings and the murder and stuff like that, and so we're trying to do our part in, we're out there, we're in the community, we're working with the families, of course, reaching out, we're trying to get to the young people, trying to make sure
and see what we can do through our roles and try to, you know, whatever it is, mediate, whatever we need to do to try to bring this to the table, to try to bring this to a halt, you know what I mean, and assist in any way that we can, especially in the schools, because, you know, it used to be, you know, high school age and older. Now it's come to middle age, you know, middle school and stuff like that, and the younger kids. So we're trying to do the best we can to try to really meet them where they're at.
You said do something, and previously it was only you with the organization, and then Rebecca, you joined. What motivated you to get involved with this?
So before I was here, I was working in DYS for almost 2 years in the detention, and so it's a completely different like type of environment, and I see what you can do for kids when they're like being held and locked up waiting to find out what happens in court. And then there's the other side where I know a lot of people that work in the community with kids, and so I just wanted to come to the other side and kind of interfere before it gets to a point of me meeting them in DYS lockup.
Try to intervene or help them before that.
Yeah, she's me all over again. When I started, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. She keeps me on my toes, and that's the whole thing that we will. You know, LYSOA has been looking. You know what I mean, to put people in position to work with us and try to help our young people. Our generation is getting a little younger. You know, especially with the recent violence and you know, and the situations that are going on. When I started doing this work, it was, you know, it was kind of not easy, but it was a lot easier with the younger people that, you know, the way that they were doing things, it was easier, the approach was easier. And of course, like anything else, it changes over time, and the approach and how you know, how you approach our young people and stuff like that. So definitely our approach is different. You know, we have a great collaborative with you know, with Life Scene, Catholic Charities, and, you know, under the SSYI, we have a joint contract with Roca and stuff. So we're trying to get a good grasp on, you know, trying to, you know, give services to our younger generation, and hopefully we can try to end some of this violence, and hopefully we don't have any more fatalities.
Yeah, always hope that. And you offer quite an extensive amount of outreach, like you do cleanups, you seem to really want to try to get the youth involved in a positive manner within the community as well, changing that path.
We ran a whole summer work crew let me correct that. They ran a whole summer work crew this year. They did amazing. It used to be just bringing kids outside and, you know, and do park cleanups and park lots and stuff like that. This past summer, they did an amazing. She can tell you more about it than I can.
We worked with Catholic Charities, and we went over to the pantry on, what street is that?
Oh, Silsby. I believe it's Silsby Street.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah,
the pantry over on Silsby Street. They were there. They would be there for like the whole day. Sometimes they were helping with like restocking shelves. Some of them were in the front at the desk doing the like scanning, clicking thing for people to come in. They were unloading trucks and like moving pallets. They also were over at my brother's table where they would help in the kitchen, or they would help make sandwiches out in like the dining room. Yeah, meal prep. Where else?
The schools.
The school. Oh yeah, they were at like every school pretty much.
Wow.
So it was a real broad, you know what I mean? It's almost like teaching them a little bit. And it's not just trash cleanup, but pretty much getting their hands on everything throughout the community. In the schools, learning how to, you know, do the meal preps and working with the homeless, and also, you know, the food pantries and stuff like that, and helping out, you know, helping families and stuff like that. So definitely a good broad of, instead of just cleaning or painting out in the community.
Which is an amazing job to do, because you're really giving them experience and purpose and everything, and maybe they'll find something that they really want to get involved in.
So some of, along with that also, they know that they can always come back to us and definitely help. As we know, you know, when you put a resume together and you don't have anything to put on them, you know, companies and places and stores won't really look at it. Oh, so this kid has no kind of experience, so we can't do. But even you know, with our young people, we help them, especially if they work with us through the summer. We have something to put on there. We help. We teach them how to prioritizing how to put these things in order that makes that resume jump out and makes an employer look at it and stuff. So, plus the presentation on how to, present themselves, and so.
They got in
Definitely.
contact with some good people too. They met Judge Ina Hogan. They
Yes.
did a tour of District Court. They went through and toured that. They met the mayor.
They did the mayor's office and stuff. So they this summer was pretty good for them. They did really good this summer. So.
Sounds like an incredible experience and exposure to so many resources and so many people within the community.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
So it's not as intimidating to them, I suppose.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It starts off like that. You know what I mean? It's like they had no idea what they thought it was just you show up, you go to work, you clean, you earn a paycheck, you go home. We try to make it more interesting, you know what I mean? On top of that, of course, it's the other side of, we still educate them about the court system and what can happen if you do this, A, B, and C, and this is what happens. And, because we still work with the high-risk youth, those are the ones that we try to get them employment and get them, get them hired and work. And, one of our biggest things is school. We want these kids in school, right? So we definitely advocate for that. And, if you want to do this, you have to go to school. So we definitely push for that, especially the ones that we work with. So school's a big priority for us. Me personally, it was one of my biggest things. And, for me, I stopped going to school when I was 12, 13 years old. I had to learn how to read at the age of 35. It was one of the hardest things for me. Was to learn how to read all over again. And when I hear these kids that they don't want to go to school, I try to explain to them, there's no way anybody's they're not going to hire you. You're not going to get a job anywhere. How are you going to know what's going on with your paycheck or anything like that? So definitely education's a big one for us. Yeah. You want this, you got to go to school. So that's the bargaining chip we bring to the table.
I said, it sounds like you really do great work within the community, and I know I have to wrap up in a minute, but is there anything that I hadn't asked about that you wanted to mention before we...
We're easy to find. We're easy to find. I always say we're everywhere and nowhere all at the same time. I'm proud of my partner, like she, what I'm saying. And I say my partner, I'm the supervisor and stuff, but those are just titles that we use. We're equal in this thing, like we work hard. Sometimes she works harder than I do. She gets me going. What are we doing? Where are we going? And that was me in the beginning. Like I was really, you know what I mean? Yeah. I am praying that our community doesn't suffer any more loss like we have. But what I am asking of the community, come out, come to us, come see us. Let's get together. Let's figure out what we can do for our young people so that we can stop, burying our young ones, and we can stop, holding our mothers that are suffering the loss of their kids. And then what can we do to help our community get stronger and get our kids back in school and back into society, and how can we help? That's it. Thank you.
That's it, and I couldn't have said it any better myself. I want to thank you again for coming on the show. Yeah. And once again, I'm Dani Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we'll see you next week with more guests. On deck, the sports update. St. Mary's Golf has secured their spot in the postseason, taking a 46.5, 26.5 match over Winthrop before falling to Stang 208-151 for an overall record of 9-3. The Rams defended their home course with a 7-point, 36.5 to 32.5 beating of Somerville. Continuing the longtime rivalry, the Rams and Bulldogs met in girls soccer, with Classical taking the commanding 7-0 victory. Gianna Parker and Lauren Wilson both contributed goals for the Rams. This was followed by 2 games with Chelsea, ending with a 2-2 tie and dominant 8-0 Classical win. In boys soccer, the English side was all smiles, moving back to a 2-3-4 record and denying the Rams their first win of the season as they fell to 0-1-8. The Bulldogs never trailed in the game, as they saw a ball bounce into the net at the 8-minute mark and added another just before halftime. The second was all English, as they scored 2 quick goals off a pair of aggressive plays for a 4-1 lead only 7 minutes into the half. The Bulldogs saw this momentum fade when Malden topped them 3-1. Lynn Tech Girls won a battle with Neshoba Tech, as Cindy De Leon's goal was the only score for a 1-0 final. St. Mary's boys remain undefeated at 7-0-2 and are riding high off a 7-0 downing of Arlington Catholic. This marks their 6th clean sheet of the season, as Jose Costa scored his first career goal on the offensive end. While their girls team has clawed their way back to a 5-5 record, stomping Arlington Catholic 8-1. KIPP also took care of business against the Minutemen in a 3-0 volleyball shutout. The Panthers had a strong day, as the Minutemen were unable to score more than 15 points in any given set. St. Mary's started off positive, winning the first 2 sets over Malden Catholic, but ultimately fell 3-2. Glasgow got their 3rd win in the young football season, cruising to a 38-14 final over Medford. The Rams took control of the game with 4 touchdowns in the first quarter, 3 of which came off connections between QB Brian Vaughn Jr. and receiver John Naskey, and was smooth sailing from there. Medford did score 14 unanswered points in the 3rd, but that was all they could manage, in contrast to an explosive Rams offense. Lynn Tech also had a strong 36-0 showing against Boston English, flipping the script as English beat the Tigers by a score of 36-15 last season. 3 rushing touchdowns, a 75-yard kick return, and a safety gave Tech a 29-0 lead in the first quarter. The score hit 36-0 by halftime and did not move for the rest of the game. Lynn English had their way against Revere, picking up their first win of the season 28-6 against the winless Patriots. The Bulldogs went up 14-0 in the first and never looked back. They relied heavily on the run game, registering 231 yards on the ground in the first half alone. This was mirrored in a strong defensive effort featuring 2 Cody Richardson interceptions, including a diving effort in the second. In contrast, the Spartans were the ones getting schooled, dropping a 48-16 game to undefeated Fenwick. After trading interceptions on opening drives, St. Mary's took an 8-0 lead, but that would be the last time they had the advantage. Bishop Fenwick responded by scoring on their next 3 offensive possessions. KIPP came from behind for a close 26-1 road win over Leicester, moving to 3-1 on the year. Morinel Castro once again showed off his speed, running for a 69-yard score in the 4th. A 38-3 loss for the Patriots gave life to the 3-year-old question, who will be the franchise quarterback going forward for New England? Nothing was going right on offense, for Mac Jones specifically, who coughed up a fumble in the first and tacked on 2 interceptions, including a pick 6. Fans got a rare sighting of backup Bailey Zappi from the middle of the 3rd on. Dallas bulldozed the Patriots' defense, having their way on all sides of the ball. Adding injury to insult, corner Christian Gonzalez and edge rusher Matthew Judon went down with injuries and are expected to be out for most of the season. Baseball season for the Sox officially ended on Sunday, October 1st, giving way to an offseason full of question marks. They finished the year splitting a 4-game series with the 2023 AL East champion Baltimore Orioles. The team is also mourning the sudden loss of former pitcher number 49 Tim Wakefield. Wakefield was 57 and passed away from brain cancer. The knuckleballer spent 17 seasons with the Sox from 1995 to 2011 and was the leader in innings pitched for the team. However, he was most known for his kind personality and philanthropic efforts off the field, earning the Roberto Clemente Award in 2010 and being named an honorary chairman of the Red Sox Foundation in 2013. All of Sox Nation will miss hearing you on the horn next season. Next up on the Lowdown, a representative from Blue Cross Blue Shield zoomed in to share details on the open enrollment period for Medicare beginning next week, October 15th, and running until December 7th. Here is the Lowdown. Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Dani Vittori, and today we're joined on Zoom by Heather Hurd from Blue Cross Blue Shield in Massachusetts to talk about Medicare today. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So we'll start off with The open enrollment, or the annual, enrollment period for Medicare is coming up. What is that?
Yes, thank you, Dani. Every year, Medicare has an annual election period, which we call open enrollment. It's from October 15th to December 7th each year for a January 1 effective date. So this affects people who are on Medicare now, and they may have purchased other private Medicare plans. During this time frame, open enrollment, October 15th to December 7th, they can change their plan if they want to. It'll take effect on January 1st.
Great. And do you have to enroll in Medicare, like once you hit a certain age or a certain point?
Well, that's a great question. Medicare is health insurance for people age 65 and older, and it's also available to people who have been covered for disability for 2 years. So those are the two people on Medicare. They've been on disability coverage for 2 years, and they may be younger, or they've turned age 65. Now, if you turn age 65, you're Medicare eligible, but you may delay going on to Medicare if you're working. If you continue working and you have an active employer plan, and that company has 20 employees or more, you can delay going on to Medicare. But if you are not working when you turn 65, you should enroll onto Medicare because there are late enrollment penalties if you don't sign up for Medicare at that time. So Medicare is federal coverage, and it covers people all over the United States.
Oh, wow. So what kind of things does Medicare typically cover, like specific coverage?
So original Medicare is made of Parts A and B. And Medicare Part A covers inpatient services, so you can think of hospital room and board, skilled nursing coverage. It's premium free for most people. Medicare Part B covers outpatient services and doctor care. So when people go to the doctor's office, have a specialist visit, maybe some physical therapy, these services are covered under Medicare Part B. So A is inpatient, B is outpatient and doctor care, and Medicare Part B is not free. Everyone pays an individual premium to have Medicare Part B, and that is set by the federal government, and it can change every year. Currently, Medicare's Part B premium is $164.90 per person per month. So that's in 2023. We don't know the 2024 premium yet. Medicare usually announces its changes for the upcoming year sometime in the fall, so usually sometime in late October, early November. How do people pay that Part B premium? Well, it can be deducted from a Social Security check, or Medicare will bill them if they're not collecting Social Security.
Okay, so there's different options for people depending on what coverage they think they're going to need.
Do you mean options in addition to Medicare?
No, I mean like within Medicare itself. You don't have to get Part B if you don't think you'll need it, or?
Well, you don't have to take Part B. You're right. It is optional, but most people enroll onto Part B because if you do not, you don't have any coverage for any outpatient or doctor care. So anything that you do when you go to an office visit or a specialist visit, if you need a lab, a blood draw, an x-ray, none of these services are covered if you don't have Medicare Part B. Also, if you don't sign up on Part B when you're first eligible and you don't have an employer plan, later on, if you go to sign up on Part B, you'll have to wait for an open enrollment period, and you'll have a late enrollment penalty, which is 10% for every 12 months that you delay. So for the penalty reason and the no coverage reason, most people take Part B, even though they have to pay that monthly premium for it.
No, yeah, definitely. That would be a good idea. And during the annual enrollment, is this the only time people can enroll or change their plans, or could they do it at some other point in the year?
Yes. So this time period coming up, this open enrollment period, is for people currently on Medicare who want to perhaps change their other plans, which we haven't talked about yet, the other types of plans. But the first time you go onto Medicare, that can happen any time of the year. People are turning 65 all the time, and that is called your initial election period. And it begins 3 months before your birthday month, and it lasts for 3 months after your birthday month. And at this time, when people are first eligible for Medicare, they can sign up for Medicare, and they do so by contacting Social Security. So you go to the Social Security Administration the first time you're eligible for Medicare to enroll onto Medicare. And then if you want to buy the other private plans to give you more coverage than Medicare, there are different types of plans. There are supplements that are there are Medicare Advantage plans. There are Part D drug plans. People buy these from private insurance companies. So enrolling onto Medicare can happen anytime. That's the initial election period. And then once you're on Medicare, you have that annual election period every fall, October 15th to December 7th, where you can make a change to your other coverage if you want to. And then there are special circumstances. There are special enrollments people fall into, such as maybe they've worked beyond age 65. Maybe they work till 70 and now they're letting go of an employer plan. That creates a special enrollment to sign up on Medicare. Moving into a new service area or a different part of the country, that could create a special enrollment.
Interesting. And you said this is a time when they can change their other plans. Are those the ones that you were referencing before, like the additional things you can buy from private insurance?
Yes, so many people go on to Medicare and they just decide to have the federal Medicare coverage, but it's not 100% coverage. There are out-of-pocket costs, and Medicare does not cover outpatient prescriptions. These are medications that we pick up at the pharmacy. Medicare does not cover a lot of preventive services, such as routine eye exams, routine hearing exams. So many people, and there's also out-of-pocket costs in the form of deductibles and um, generally speaking, for your outpatient services, after you meet a deductible, you pay 20% for the rest of the year. So when people don't want to pay those amounts, they look to buying other coverage. They can buy either Medicare supplements. These are plans they add on to Medicare to pick up after Medicare and fill in those gaps and pay Medicare balances, or they can buy Medicare Advantage plans. These are also very popular. And Advantage plans take over, these are sometimes called Part C of Medicare. They take over and they replace Medicare while you're on that plan. And you get a lot of extra benefits, preventive services, drug coverage, all on one card. Now, when people buy a supplement, they have very predictable out-of-pocket costs. They don't have drug coverage, so they still need to buy a Medicare Part D drug plan, and they could buy that from an insurance company. So these other plans, supplements, Advantage plans, Part D, people are buying these from insurance companies that are contracted with Medicare.
Yeah, that whole process makes sense. And is there anything that's new to the plans this year that you wanted to talk about at all?
New to plans in general, I guess I would say if you're on a Medicare plan, you will be getting a notice in the mail now called an annual notice of change. It's a member letter saying, "Dear member, here's how your plan is changing." Definitely read that and open it up and see if the changes to your plan are okay for you. You may be getting new benefits. I know plans are really trying to reduce premium, add in a lot of extra benefits. So you want to read up on those changes. There can also be changes to the drug coverage. If you have Part D benefits, there can be formulary changes. So you want to know if that's going to affect you. If you're okay with the changes, your plan can roll over till the next year, 2024. If you're not okay with the plan changes, you can call your company and talk to them about these changes so you understand them. All the companies now in the fall will be having seminars, Zoom webinars. We'll be explaining our plans. You can also call member service. And if you don't like the plan changes, you have October 15th to December 7th to make a change for January 1.
Great. And what would be advice you would give to someone who's, facing these decisions to maybe make a change?
Well, I'll make this a two-part answer. If you're not yet on Medicare and you're new to Medicare and you're planning to go onto Medicare, my advice would be start early. Don't wait until a month before your 65th birthday to figure all this out, because it can be complicated. I would say a good time frame is 6 months to a year before you're going on to Medicare. Start reading a little bit about Medicare online, going to some informational sessions, maybe at your senior center or offered by an insurance company, so you're well versed in what the options are when it's time for you to make decisions. If you're already on Medicare, the advice I would be is read that annual notice of change and then look and see what the other plans are offering. This information would be on the back of in the back of your Medicare hand booklet that you will be sent from Medicare. Every year they send those out in September. I know people are getting them now. So look at the different plans and see what's available to you besides the plan that you have. Attend an informational session if you have time, or a Zoom webinar. And at your senior center, there's a valuable resource there called Shine. So there are Shine counselors all throughout Massachusetts. The Shine program is an amazing program. Shine counselors are free counselors who will sit down with people on Medicare one-on-one and discuss their health insurance options and whether they should make a change or stay with the plan that they have.
Wow, that's great. So you've provided so much good information for us today, and we have to wrap up, but thank you for coming on again to really give us all this information about Medicare.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. And for the residents of Lynn, you have a wonderful senior center on Silby Street. And if you're interested in Blue Cross plans, we have information. I know our plan information is at bluecrossma.com/Medicare, or you can call our sales team at 1-800-678-2265. We also have seminars this fall at the Peabody Marriott on Centennial Drive on October 25th, November 21st, and November 27th, if anybody's interested in joining our meetings. Thank you.
Great, thank you for this plethora of information. And once again, I'm Dani Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we'll see you next week with more guests. Now the community calendar. Lynn is hosting a ward forum next Wednesday the 11th, which will be broadcast live at 7 p.m. on cable, lyntv.org, and Facebook. Contenders from the contested wards will have another chance to answer questions submitted by the staff at LCTV and community members. Moderated by LCTV board member Joe Scalin, tune in to hear from the candidates before the November 7th final election. Forums for at-large and school committee will be hosted later this month on the 16th and 18th. Flu vaccination clinics are back for the month of October, with the next one occurring Thursday the 12th. Taking place at Marshall Middle School from 4 to 7 p.m. and open to everyone in the community. No ID or insurance is required. Regular doses will be given to those 6 months and older, with a high dose administered to those 65 and up. Next Saturday the 14th is the last household hazardous waste collection day of the year. Some materials being collected are lighter fluid, weed killer, antifreeze, and furniture polish. They can be dropped off at the Department of Public Works, and payment is required. Up to 3 pounds or gallons is $30, up to 10 pounds or gallons is $36, and 11 to 25 pounds or gallons comes in at $60. Checks should be made payable to Clean Harbor Environmental Services, Inc., and any residents dropping off materials should have the amounts ready in advance. For a full list of acceptable materials, go to lyntv.org. With that, we have reached the end of the news for this week. Stay informed on all events, election coverage, and press releases by visiting lyntv.org. For video content from both our public and government channels, go to Lynn Community Television on YouTube. And follow at Lynn Community Television on social media for breaking news and information from organizations around the city. I'm Dani Vittori, this is LCTV News, and we will see you next week.